Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to New Campaign Trail. Now, last time we played New Campaign Trail together was in the great year 2008, where we hopped in as Democratic frontrunner and upset winner of the primary, Donald J. Trump, and beat John McCain in a massive over 400 electoral vote landslide. It was beautiful. Worked to make America great again. It was incredible. Surely nothing bad will happen for Donald J. Trump, Democratic icon. Anyway, we had some fun with some alternate history. But today we're going to be playing a bit more of a grounded in normal history scenario. This is one that dropped a few days ago, and it seems very, very good. And I wanted to check it out. Donnie T. Bleeding Heart Liberal. Obama was the VP, correct. McCain needs to win. Looks like we got a Maverick fan over here. Chat, please ban its reign for supporting McCain. This is a Trump supporting Twitch chat. Anyway, we're going to be playing a new mod that dropped. Peace with Honor, I believe. So, as Richard Nixon takes command, he is peering over the edge of an abyss, with war in Vietnam dragging on, rising inflation, and anarchy in the streets. It appears the United States is entering a period of terminal decline. President Nixon believes he's the only man who can keep the United States as the world's foremost superpower, and he needs a full 8 years to do it. Horrified at what is perceived as the moral decay of the nation, every single decision Nixon has made is geared towards ensuring his re-election. To gain a second term, Nixon must bring the Vietnam War to an honorable end and make the type of bold decisions which will enshrine him as one of the great men in history. Now, more than ever. My fellow Americans, he's not a crook, exactly. Yeah, I'd buy a used car from Richard Nixon. Most honest president I know. So, we only get to play as Dick Nixon. Not a man of the arena. He is an animal. He rips, tears, and mauls his enemies, and his enemies are everywhere. They're the Franklins, the pinstriped New Dealer, I don't think I can say that word, on Twitch. The Kennedys, the left-wing columnists. The liberals. They always knock him down, but he always claws back as a new Nixon, just for one more opportunity to shred them limb from limb. Voorhees, Hiss, Checkers, Ike's Heart Attack, the Latin American mobs, that goddamn Kennedy, the Hughes loans, the Dragon Lady. Dick has overcome them all. And he'll beat them again. Since Whittier, Dick has known humiliation, channeling it into rage against his enemies, fueled by middle-class white Americans. The non-shouters, the non-demonstrators, the silent majority. Dick clawed his way to the top of the heap in 68, eking out a pitiful winning margin of 0.7%. Now in his last campaign, Dick must win in a landslide, making the 1972 election a referendum on the shouters, the demonstrators, the enemy. And our VP, our only VP it seems for now, Spiro Agnew? I forget exactly. If a silent majority has a mouth, it's Spiro Agnew, always shrieking from a podium about effete liberal snobs. Agnew excites the Republican majority faithful like no other. There's nothing behind his words, but Agnew is an intensely polarizing figure, fueling the divisions, tearing the country apart. For Richard Nixon, that's all fine, as long as Agnew gets the base out to support the president. Agnew has little else to offer, making his grandstanding far more important than it should be. Notoriously corrupt, the former Maryland governor's closet is stuffed to the brim with skeletons. His uneasy relationship with the president threatens to spill over into the campaign if Agnew is taken off his leash Nixon will not hesitate to kick him to the curb. Ooh, the funny Spear voice. We had the itch points redeemed. This guy shouldn't be VP. This guy shouldn't be VP. What's he talking about? Seems totally reliable. Although it looks like he needs to shit in this picture. That's okay. We're gonna do the normal difficulty. And we're gonna check the map. So, we are leading, though the enemy seems to have a notable presence in the country. And the nuts and kooks, they are going to do it. They are not doing well. Scream fuck off liberals in just spear voice. Fuck off liberals! There we go. After the abrupt end of the Paris peace talks in late 1968, negotiations to end the war in Vietnam are at a standstill. Signs indicate that the North Vietnamese delegation, led by Le Duc Tho, is demanding a removal of President Nguyen Van True of South Vietnam. But this has been the brightest of red lines for South Vietnam and a non-starter for peace talks. Should the U.S. plow ahead on the negotiating track anyway? Or should we force the Vietnamese to the table another way? The enemy. Indeed, yeah. Keep some lines open, but no hanky-panky. But our statement how the United States has not persevered all this way just to reverse course. Christ, just put it like this way. We cannot purchase peace or honor or redeem its sacrifices at the price of deserting a brave ally. That's good. Mention the POW thing, too. It's purely delaying action. Those POW wives will endorse this damn thing immediately. With no dramatic escalation on your end, the war will grind on for years until somebody makes some massive concessions. Meanwhile, the POW wives are proving to be a bit of an Achilles heel for your administration itself. If the war is still raging by 72, there may be hell to pay. North Vietnam isn't backing down, and 500,000 U.S. troops are still in Vietnam. Defense Secretary Mel Laird has proposed a new policy of Vietnamization, which calls for a gradual withdrawal of U.S. forces while handling the war over to the Vietnamese. But the Joint Chiefs believe the only way to win is with a massive troop surge. Which do you support? We'll do funny options later. We're going to play semi-seriously, and then we'll do a funny run. I say we hand it back to France. Laird's got the right idea. 150,000 troops should come home by the end of the year and gradually withdraw all of them on a schedule over the next couple of years. Get the South Vietnamese strong enough to fight this war themselves. Drop enough bombs, they'll run out of rebels eventually. You're not wrong. There's a strong skepticism over your plans. Is it just a way to prevent a communist takeover before the election, or to effectively prolong the war forever? Regardless, if the anti-war further may quell, and the public is satisfied that you're bringing peace with honor. Where do we want to go? It's getting close between us and the enemy in New York. So we'll campaign in New York. China has long been a pariah in geopolitics and American policy towards the most populous country in the world. It's been marked by confrontation and refusal to engage. Most recently, Peking's relations with Moscow and Hanoi have turned sour. This could represent an opening to set the tone for your administration's diplomacy. If the U.S. pursues a rapprochement with China, it would definitely end one of North Vietnam's biggest military pipelines and open a new era in international relations. Would you support such an opening? Look, I'm supposed to be the #1 red baiter in the country. If we just continue the policy of non-communication with the Chinese that we've had for 20 years, it could be nuclear war. We've got to get along with them. It's no problem for the next few years, but it's a critical problem of our age. China's the key to peace in the world. Keep it quiet, Henry, but start working through the channels. My chat wants me to kill China. We'll do that. We're gonna do the fun. We're gonna do the funny the second time, okay? Kissinger begins making plans to slip into China next year, setting the stage for a visit of your own in 72. If you pull this off, it would be the greatest breakthrough in foreign affairs of a generation and would completely blindside your enemies. Douglas is rolling in his grave, doggo. Ew, it's Kissinger. Listen, like I said, we'll do funny later. It's April 1970, and since you authorized secret carpet bombings of Ho Chi Minh Trail along the Cambodian border last year, the Viet Cong has gone further into Cambodian territory, threatening the American-backed leader Lon Nol. B-52s unable to go further out, revealing the covert bombing. What actions will be authorized in a small country? Give some more military aid to Lon Nol, and just continue our bombing runs. But don't send any troops in. I tell you, that Cambodian bombing is the only thing we can get away with. Network people try to whine and bitch about bombing the North, but nobody cares about Cambodia. Brah. Talk about oh, people are calling me a liberal because I'm not wanting to bomb Vietnam in chat. This is great. I love this already. It's true, you've avoided any mass outcry at home. The military is antsy, though. It's unclear how long the secret bombings can be kept under wraps. The whole campaign could just blow up in your face. But the bombing stays quiet in Laos. Maybe it can in Cambodia. Goddamn enemy. It's in New York. Make two suns rise over a no. Khrushchev being more hawkish than Genghis Khan. True. As president, you've authorized numerous dirty tricks straight out of the White House, like wiretapping and break-ins. Much of it stemmed from your paranoia over leaks of a secret bombing in Cambodia. Among those targeted by the White House plumbers have been Daniel Ellsberg, leaker of the Pentagon Papers, and a psychiatrist. With Democratic primaries fast approaching, do you want to direct a campaign of rat-fucking to sabotage with stronger candidates in the fall? We fucking rats, boys? What or what? Fuck the rats. We're fucking the rats. Let's go. Christ, yes. We gotta get Muskie, Humphrey, Kennedy, you know, out on the limb of some of these critical issues. Sending mailings out on New Hampshire to confuse everyone. Put some letters saying they're written by Muskie. Things like that. Put those sons of bitches through the ringer. Through a complicated series of cutouts, including Attorney General John Mitchell, the rat-fucking campaign is well underway. With the field cleared of the most formidable candidates, you should have no trouble walloping whichever poor soul gets the nomination in Miami. Don't worry about Kennedy, he'll be gone soon. Actions taken by left-wing radicals like the Weather Underground have left the intelligence community scrambling. White House aide Charles Huston has drafted a plan which would authorize burglaries, wiretaps, mail openings, and detention centers for dissidents. The directors of CIA, FBI, DIA, and NSA have all indicated their support. The only holdout is the legendary FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover. Should we go forward with this plan? Kennedy's a liberal. The CIA had assassinated Kennedy to save America. Let's see. Damn it, do it now. I'll see Hoover personally and convince him. I can't tolerate this goddamn anarchy anymore. These sons of bitches are tearing the country apart. One day we will get them. We'll get them on the ground where we want them. And then we'll stick our heels and step on them hard and twist, right? Henry knows what I mean. Get them on the floor and step on them. Crush them. Show them no mercy, John, right? Brrr! Elric nervous laughter signals his approval, and Hoover ultimately relents. With these tools, the Weather Underground is about to reap the whirlwind, and as will any peaceful dissenting voice. Chuck Colson can hardly contain his glee at this new police state. Love the accent. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go ahead. Liberals in Pennsylvania. That wasn't the. That wasn't what I meant to do. That one was weird. Another casualty of the Vietnam War has been the American economy. Enormous budget deficits and the Federal Reserve's policies have contributed to rising inflation, with the rate for 1971 now at 5.75. At a meeting in Camp David, the ball is in your court. Being mindful of the low unemployment rates, what actions will you take to curb the growing inflation rate? We all know the liberals are the real quirks, true. We need a Nixon accent option to chat like we have a Spear voice, honestly. That's a good idea. Congress passed the whole wage and price freeze thing, didn't they? Tell Connolly to use it. He's got to get the goddamn inflation under control. Maybe we'll know for some of those damn union men, too. Nobody knows if this is going to work. The actual effects are unimportant. What matters is that it at least appears like you're doing something, and in politics, appearance is everything. Polls indicate that the American people strongly support your decision. Unions. As part of the Bretton Woods Agreement, the U.S. dollar is pegged to gold and other currencies have a fixed exchange rate to the dollar. However, the Fed's policy has recently been to print excessive amounts of money due to the Vietnam War and Johnson's Great Society. This has overvalued the dollar, making it imports and exports expensive. Now, there is a real risk of depleting American gold reserves, and drastic action is called for. Are you willing to end the Bretton Woods system? Yes, I will direct Treasury Secretary Connolly to suspend convertibility of the dollar into gold. The time has come for exchange rates to be set back for the major nations to compete as equals. There's no need for the United States to compete with one hand tied behind her back. Just steal Vietnam's gold, easy. Johnson, that fucking liberal. Steal more from Africa. After several sleepless nights, your primetime Oval Office speech makes waves. By making these bold actions, which shock the system, you're putting on the appearance of taking extraordinary measures, even nobody knows what the effects of this will really be. Look at that. Goddamn liberals are falling apart. Still got the kooks down here, though. Going to Maryland. Agnew has to do with some good, god damn it. Critical thinking is for liberals. That's why we are winning. Conservatives argue that another factor contributing to the poor economy is the environmental movement. Pollution control has been a growing issue and face pressures to pick up where the Johnson left off on that front, while being mindful of economic concerns. Where do you fall on the environment? I'm going to do the historical Nixon option, which a lot of people don't realize is a historical Nixon option. Protecting the environment for our children and grandchildren is a vital task, which we have all been given. I will create a federal environmental protection agency, sign the Clean Water Act, and support any further anti-pollution legislation which gets to my desk. Yeah, Richard Nixon established the EPA in real life. A lot of people don't realize that. Nixon gone woke. Go, bro. Another big swing, casting yourself as the environmentalist in chief, certainly outflanks the liberals on the issue, but you may have leaned a little bit too far. Conservatives decry what they see as another left turn for administration. But you haven't lost them so far. Nixon controlled by the chat is fucking blowing up. I love this. As another school year is starting, the integration of African American students is a high priority across state and local governments. This results in some highly popular programs like cross-district busing, which is intended to achieve racial balance but has been strongly opposed from nearly all quadrants. How do you wish to pursue desegregation? Let's see how we're doing. Still doing well. Anti-war dissident, economics, busing, law and order, and federal programs. Coast First liberals in New York support busing. We're going to enforce the law, and that means continuing to uphold rulings which will end legal segregation. We're not going to champion on these decisions at all, and instead will allow the opposed forced busing, which is just as detrimental to our core values as legal segregation. Trying to have it both ways on the issue of segregation hardly qualifies you for any profiles in courage, but it's a politically savvy move. By not rocking the boat with Southern whites, you keep those voters in line, and you don't look like an unvarnished racist either. Oh yeah, those cooks are gone. Get those cooks out of there. on to West Virginia. Drug use is becoming a full-blown epidemic in American society. Over the past decade, the number of addicts have surged in which some in your administration believe is fueling the increase in crime across major cities. A particularly sensitive spot is Vietnam, where American troops are getting addicted to heroin. What steps will it take to tackle this crisis? Kennedy Bros, it's Jover. Heroin killer with fire. CIA selling crack to low-income neighborhoods, stalking black people. But New Englander martial law teachers libtard hippies a lesson. Public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it's necessary to wage a new, all-out offensive. I'm directing Congress to provide renewed funds for treatment and rehabilitation efforts and to deal with the supply. The substance of your initiative is limited, but the public messaging, including an Oval Office meeting with Elvis Presley, proves to be quite successful. However, the military continues to worry about the state of our forces in Vietnam, with morale low and troops high. Painkillers are for pussies. Ban any forms of drugs. I'm pro-war on drugs because it has a war on it. Elvis is a KGB spy. Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black and Marshall Harlan have both retired. Now you have two vacancies to fill. The first was Lewis Powell, a corporate lawyer who got through Congress with no sweat. Now it can afford to be a little rougher with a second vacancy, while being mindful of your past defeats for nominees early in administration. Who would you like to choose? The historical one was Rehnquist. Go with Howard Baker. The only ones allowed to sell the heroin to the Americans are the CIA. We'll do Senator Howard Baker. I've been impressed by him, and he's not the type of man to rock the boat. He's reliable. He's actually a lot more fluid than he thought. After dragging his feet taking forever to finally agree, Baker flies through Congress with little resistance. Some conservatives want a nominee more up to the right, but Baker won't upset many. Oh gosh, look at that. The enemy's winning in Michigan. We need to end that right now. Throughout your term, Vice President Spiro Agnew has endeared himself to many conservatives, while also becoming a bit of a thorn in your side. Agnew's closet is full of skeletons from his days in Maryland all the way to the White House, acting as a ticking time bomb for administration if not quickly addressed. Ideally, he would have resigned, but you're going to have to squeeze him a bit and leak some of those corruption scandals if you want him to go. Are you willing to cut Agnew loose? No, I don't want any of that. Agnew can put in good work for our campaign. Let's not change horses midstream. Besides, raising hell for all the bribes he's made would open up a whole can of worms. And maybe for the best as far as your re-election bid is concerned, but Agnew taking bribes in the White House is so egregious, it's bound to leak out eventually. Just pray you can make it to Election Day without him embarrassing the whole administration. It's not even a joke, the CIA were involved helping grow and move heroin in Burma in the early 70s. That does not surprise me. I'm not surprised. What do you think they did in Afghanistan? True. After years of secret negotiations, you at last reached an agreement with the People's Republic of China and are ready to normalize relations. This has stunned the world in their hopes that you can finally actually visit the PRC with an official American delegation. It would make for great television. You'd be the first U.S. president to visit the country. I can't think of anything more important. Let all the television cameras in, and let's visit early next year. Strongest drug cartel really is the CIA. You're not wrong. Your world tour was an astonishing success. A surreal meeting with Chairman Mao Zedong, dining with Premier Zhou Enlai, and walking the Great Wall all play spectacularly to the public. You've charted a new chapter in history, and the PRC is eager to keep up this relationship. Oh yes, look at that. Just need to keep up the work. Let's go to Hawaii. Assassinate Mao. Arm bin Laden. Nixon should have slapped Mao's bald head. More chaos and more violence. At a rally in Maryland, George Wallace has been shot by an unknown assailant. Wallace will recover, and the shooter's in custody. Meanwhile, White House aide Charles Colson has presented you with a stream of ideas about dirty tricks targeted against the enemy, including one about the gunman. What do you wish to authorize? Firebomb. Well, I think switching phone BRB. You got it. We'll go for the funny ones right now. Put the shooting on the left right away. Keep the heat on them. Don't let them make the mistakes that was made of a Kennedy thing. You don't realize the forces could be let loose on this, you know. The fellow was a goddamn demagogue, a hate monger. He could let loose horrible forces. Colson takes action, sending CIA agent Howard Hunt to the apartment of a shooter, Arthur Bremer, to plant Democratic flyers around. Unfortunately, Hunt can't find any Kennedy material and just ends up dumping surplus McCarthy pins from 68 on the apartment floor. Good enough. Bizarre story in Washington today. 5 burglars have been arrested at the offices of the Democratic National Convention in the Watergate Hotel. Some of them have ties to the committee to re-elect the president. Howard Hunt's name has been found on their address books. A lot of the burglars were part of the old plumbers unit here, and the FBI is on their trail. Your back's against the wall, and you're running out of options. Oh no. Christ, get the CIA to tell the FBI to call off the whole thing. Say it's a CIA operation. Bob, you do that. Go see Dick Helms and say that this will open up the whole Bay of Pig things. Don't listen to them to the extent. Just say there's no involvement, but just say it's a sort of comedy of errors. Bizarre. Without getting into it. Tell them the president believes that this is going to open the whole Bay of Pig things all up again. Hunt's been with the CIA for decades, and he's been involved in all sorts of covert operations, so John Dean's idea to hold that over Helm's head to shut down the FBI investigation on the break-in may just work. It's not clear what you mean by the Bay of Pigs thing, though. After a long nominating process of Democratic Convention in Miami, dovish Senator George McGovern has won the nomination president. However, a circus has surrounded the selection of his running mate, Thomas Eagleton, will likely be dropped due to merchant scandals. While campaigning, how do you want to address McGovern and his disasters? There's a son of a bitch, McGovern. Ugh. The Humphrey Ringler parties clearly can't stand everything this fellow stands for. There are a hell of a lot of Democrats who see these barefoot, long-haired flower childs on the convention floor and start convulsing. Homosexuality, dope, immorality, makes you sick. Set up an organization called Democrats for Nixon and put Connolly in charge. Assassinating McGovern to save him from his own embarrassment. This is an intelligent play on its own, and McGovern's complete lack of a coherent response only sweetens the deal. Many Democrats can't stand the way the country's been going, but if you can convince them that that's because of the liberals instead of you, this might work. Brilliant. Oh my god, we are about to wipe the fucking floor. The Republican convention all Miami was disrupted by small bombings in the city. Few were hurt, but there's a state of siege inside the convention hall. The FBI quickly arrests several subversives who claim they are responsible. The case is thin, but you're easily renominated anyway. Step to the podium. Amidst the confusion, which speech will he deliver? USA has become red. USA has become commie red. I want to address the bombings at the start of my speech and pledge to go after these violent radicals. I'll then pivot to focus on the silent majority of my fellow Americans. The bombers are the voices of a loud, dangerous few. But look at what we have accomplished. Once the case goes to trial, a web of young federal informants are discovered, and the case falls apart, embarrassing the Bureau and yourself. Your speech lands with a thud. In the case of a so-called Gainesville 8, eats up the headlines. Ah, shit. It's a little embarrassing. We're going to Massachusetts. This is a fucking commie. After a years-long investigation of a secret bombing in Cambodia by reporter Seymour Hersh has just been published by the New York Times. The evidence is irrefutable and shows the U.S. has been waging a secret war against the country since at least 1969 on your direct orders. Congress is scrambling to shut down the bombings, Senator William Fulbright is calling for hearings, and the public feels betrayed. Weren't you supposed to be ending this war, not expanding it? Liberals, I know. We are ending the war. And the Vietnam War by declaring war on China. If the public knew how many Viet Cong sanctuaries were embedded in Cambodia, they would understand. We've been defending the Allied government and power from the outside attacks. Long Nol is an American ally, but Prince Sihanouk hardly was, and the bombings began under him. In a impassioned UN hearing, Sihanouk charges the U.S. government has committed war crimes in his country. Your defense fails to hold up. Goddamn communist prince. Oh, you're going to bed? I'll see you later, Kalinka, because I'm going to be up for a while. Former White House aides Howard Hunt and Jordan Liddy have been indicted for their role in the Watergate burglary in June. Just yesterday, the Washington Post published a story by reporters Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward claiming that Hunt was ordered by the White House to frame the left for the Wallace shooting. These are very serious charges. How do you wish to respond? Just deny it. Don't bring any more attention this way. Deflect to other topics when it comes up. Talk about the improved economy, peace of honor, and all that. Just stick to that. Change the subject. An incredulous press corps cannot believe the White House press secretary Ron Ziegler's attempts to whitewash and deny Hunt's story. The report seriously threatens to break through the campaign season noise and undermine your re-election bid. Oof, really? That's not cool. Goddamn Minnesota. Regardless of the Watergate drama played out, for now, you still have a country to govern. A growing issue is a matter of healthcare. The proposed Kennedy-Griffiths bill in Congress would create a universal national healthcare system, but has been stalled in committee. You indicated interest in healthcare reform last year, so is this something you will still pursue? I will introduce a comprehensive health reform plan of my own. My plan will require that all employers offer insurance to full-time employees. It will expand coverage to the poor. It will ensure the doctors are incentivized to work for their patient, not for the government or insurance companies. Burn Boston to the ground. Commie soda, bomb them. The plan is full of novel concepts, and Congress is now eager to follow through on this on the next session. Viewing as a cost-effective compromise of the Kennedy-Griffiths bill. Another bold decision, but one that may rankle the right wing. Earlier this year, a proposed constitutional amendment called the Equal Rights Amendment was passed with wide bipartisan margins in the House and later the Senate. The amendment reads, equality of rights under the law should not be denied, abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Do you support the ERA? Yes, there's no real debate here, and I look forward to seeing it ratified by the states shortly. The ERA is virtually unanimous approval and seems destined to be ratified within the year. Your personal endorsements won't move the needle one way or the other here. Yeah, ERA. We sure enjoy having that today. Goddamn commie soda. One of the only domestic policies which has moved you has been the welfare reform. Both parties agree that the current system is a mess, but your failure to get your family assistance program through Congress has shelved the issue. The FAP created a negative income tax, but Democrats thought the income floor was too high. How would you like to handle welfare? Next only supports the IRA, and go brah. friendly assistance plan is sound. The only issue are the clowns in Congress. Tell Republican candidates down ballot to make sure this their crucial point. We get enough votes for the warfare plan will eliminate the bureaucratic waste and help millions get the assistance they actually need. Republicans running for Congress are buoyed by renewed involvement in the campaign, although some moderate Democrats begin charging the new plan would actually add millions to the welfare rolls and wouldn't get rid of any federal waste. With only days to go before voters head to the polls, enormous breakthrough negotiations in Vietnam has just been reached. With Lê Dong To and Nguyen Van Chu's final, albeit reluctant approval, Kissinger has had enough confidence to declare that peace is at hand. In a nationally televised press conference, it looks like your gambit has finally paid off. This has been the longest, most difficult war in American history. Honest and patriotic Americans have disagreed as to whether we should have become involved at all. There's been disagreement on this conduct of the war. The agreement we now have reached is one which we can all agree. Let us unite now. Unite in peace. A peace that is fair to both sides. A peace that can last. Declare war in Congress. Peace Nixon insists that the agreement is identical to the one in 1969, which he rejected, but real Americans, the silent majority, know that you've brought a lasting peace. Newsweek covers read, "Goodbye, Vietnam," as it finally appears that this calamity is near its end. Nixon's Chamberlain come again. Steamroll's hippies in Rhode Island. Where should we go? Can't really go much of anywhere that'll affect us too much. We'll try the Midwest so we can get those commies out of Minnesota. Let's take your final rally in Michigan, go to get to the airport in Cleveland, take a short boat trip over Lake Erie. At night, you can't see the shores in any direction. The water is deep black. You peer over the edge of a ship looking for your reflection. You see nothing. No citizenship for commies. Okay, here we go. Election's barely in. We've barely started and 2 states are already called. Oh, yes. Here we go. What timeline Kentucky and Indiana always declare first? Pretty much. Goddamn liberals in Massachusetts. Rhode Island went McGovern. Minnesota actually went governed by a decent margin. Kick Massachusetts from the Union. South Dakota, sons of bitches. Well, let's see how the rest of us comes in. There we go. 503 to 35. We did better in the No, we actually didn't. Never mind. I was about to say we're doing a little better popular vote, but we did not. But it's still pretty comparable. Oh, Jesus, there's a lot of descriptions here. Get comic soda back to their commie brethren in Canada. The death of Richard Nixon notes on the passing of an American monster. It was a liar and a quitter, and should have been buried at sea. But he was, after all, the president. It was Richard Nixon who got me into politics, and now that he's gone, I feel lonely. He was a giant in his way. As long as Nixon was politically alive, and he was all the way to the end, we could always be sure of finding an enemy in the low roads. There's no need to look anywhere else for the evil bastard. He had the fighting instincts of a badger trapped by hounds. The badger will roll over on his back and emit a smell of death, which confuses the dogs and lures them in for traditional ripping and tearing action. But it's usually the badger who does the ripping and tearing. It's a beast that fights best on its back, roaring under the foe of the enemy and seizing it by the head with all 4 claws. That was Nixon's style, and if you forget, he would kill you as a lesson to the others. Badgers don't fight fair, Bubba. That's why God made dachshunds. If the right people had been in charge of Nixon's funeral, his casket would have been launched into one of those open sewage canals that empty into the ocean just south of Los Angeles. He was a swine of a man and a jabbering dupe of a president. Nixon was so crooked that he needed servants help him screw on his pants every morning. Even his funeral was illegal. He was a queer in the deepest way. His body should have been burned in a trash bin. Kissinger was only one of the many historians who suddenly came to see Nixon as more than some of his many squalid parts. He seemed to be saying that history will not have to absolve Nixon because he's already done it himself in a massive act of will and crazed arrogance that already ranks him supreme, along with other Nietzschean supermen like Hitler, Jesus, Bismarck, and the Emperor Hirohito. These revisionists have catapulted Nixon to the status of American Caesar, claiming that when the definitive history of the 20th century is written, no other president will come close to Nixon in stature. He will dwarf FDR and Truman, according to one scholar from Duke University. It was all gibberish, of course. Nixon was no more a saint than he was a great president. He's more like Sammy Glick than Winston Churchill. He was a cheap crook and a merciless war criminal who bombed more people to death in Laos and Cambodia than the U.S. Army lost in all of World War II. He denied it to the day of his death. When the students at Kent State University in Ohio protested the bombing, he connived to have them attacked and slain by troops from the National Guard. Some people will say that words like scum and rotten are wrong for objective journalism, which is true, but they miss the point. It was the built-in blind spots of the objective rules and dogma that allowed Nixon to slither into the White House in the first place. He looked so good on paper they could almost vote for him sight unseen. He seemed so all-American, so much like Horatio Alger, that he was able to slip through the cracks of objective journalism. You had to get subjective to see Nixon clearly. The shock of recognition was often painful. He has poisoned our water forever. Nixon will be remembered as a classic case of a smart man shitting in his own nest. But he also shits in our nests. And that was the crime that history will burn on his memory like a brand. By disgracing and degrading the President of the United States, by fleeing the White House like a deceased cur, Richard Nixon broke the heart of the American dream. Hunter S. Thompson, originally published in Rolling Stone, 1994. Well, that was pretty hard. Let's check the closest states real quick. South Dakota, very close, about 2,000 votes. Not that close percentage-wise, but about, yeah. That was brutal. Hunter S. Thompson did not fuck around. Well, let's see if we can play this again. And we are going to do funny. Love that Forrest Gump, it's canon that Forrest brought down the entire Nixon administration. He did, I forgot about that. Also, I want to point out real quick, we have a lot of themes. Potentially. That is cool. Oh, that is cool. Bomb Vietnam, nuke China. Every Vietnamese a napalm run. Follow the money. I'm going to do this one because that's the coolest one to me. Alright, here we go. Alright. Should the U.S. plow away? Should we force Vietnamese table another way? We need a knockout blow, goddammit. We've been fighting with our hands tied behind our backs. Target north directly. Use B-52s. Mine the harbors. Launch massive ground incursions across the border. Hell, maybe the nuclear bomb. I just want to think big. Hell rains down on North Vietnam, unleashing a torrent of destruction beyond your control. Since its inception, the war has torn the U.S. at the seams, and it finally falls apart. The domestic revolts that surpassed but kind of crippled France just last year you are forced to back down. Goddamn commies. Finally, a respectful Nixon. North Vietnam isn't backing down. 500,000 troops. Retreat. We can't win a war by tying our generals' hands behind their backs. If we need 1 million men, give them 1 million. Increase our troop levels to the numbers the men out in the field say they need. Ramp up the bombings, too. The outcry to your proposal is swift and immense, adding millions more to a growing anti-war movement, sparking widespread civil disorder. Due to the enormous number of troops in Vietnam, there are enough at home to hold back for domestic chaos. Goddamn liberals. Surely the gentleman in South Carolina can come to the light. China's been okay. Good God, no. Opening in China? We bow down before Red China's another Munich. I'm no goddamn Chamberlain. They would march right in through Indochina and Korea. Invade Taiwan. Hell, the Chinese would destroy Japan. Cut them off completely, you understand? Don't budge an inch. Liberal cucks can't even evade the draft. Send the press gangs along the Canadian border. In other words, same old, same old. The style of red baiting is going out of style. Even our allies in Asia appreciate your strong words. However, embittered by your singeing rebuke, China aid to North Vietnam has drastically increased, and the war is heating up. Alright. What will we do in Vietnam? Go for broke. Order a full American invasion of Cambodia. If, when the chips are down, the world's most powerful nation acts like a pitiful giant, the force of totalitarianism and anarchy will threaten 3 nations and free institutions throughout the world. Just need to go to war, you'll be the next FDR. True. You've watched Patton too much. By framing this military operation as an act to determine the fate of the world, you have caused campuses to explode. National troops have been deployed, killing 4 students at Kent State and shooting 12 at Jackson State. They fucking deserved it. Oh dear. Just draft all the liberals. Down Beijing and VX gas. Are we rat fucking? You know, I don't know if we should rat fuck here. Perhaps rat make love, but not rat fuck. Every peacenik a penal battalion. Put the sons of bitches through the ringer. We've read that already, so we don't need to again. No mercy, John, right? There we go. We'll go through more of the standard ones thus far. Fuck the environment. Our existing federal programs to combat pollution are doing their job. I oppose the creation of yet another bureaucratic federal agency, and will certainly veto the Clean Water Act, which is more supported among point-headed intellectuals than it does the working man of this country. I don't understand what's not to like. Carbon in the atmosphere. Exactly. Congress couldn't care less and override your veto on the CWA anyway. But opposing any federal agency to protect the environment, you've set back anti-pollution efforts quite a ways. Liberals are getting eager to really go for broke on this issue. Let's see if we can hold on to the South. We have the South again. The South is the only solid place for us, though. Let's try to win Idaho. American troops are getting addicted to heroin. I formed the Schaefer Commission to analyze this problem before leaping to any sudden conclusions. And its recommendation to discourage drug use are ones we must implement. I will legalize marijuana and redirect federal funds to education programs to curb drug use. Plenty of public health experts concur with the Schaefer Commission's findings, but conservatives are livid. Even Governor Ronald Reagan can't mark his displeasure at your liberal position on the issue. Regardless, Congress seems to go along with the plans anyway. Hershey's Panzer Chocolate, just feed more heroin. What are we going to do? Shirley Hofstadler from the Court of Appeals. She can really win those feminists over. Liberals make fools of themselves going after her. The elephant in the room, the Hofstadter makes history as the first woman in the Supreme Court. You immediately get press coverage by that. But her actual positions are merely branded as liberal by your fellow conservatives who felt you missed an opportunity. Just goddamn communists, all of them. Legalize drunk and high driving. True. What are we doing with Agnew? Who should we swap him out with, chat? I'm become drunk, driver of cars. I'm seeing a lot of man for Reagan. Drop the bastard. Really let him have it with the press. Once he's through, nominate Ronald Reagan. Conservatives are just fanatic about this man. He's a dynamic campaigner. He wants to kill most people in the third world. Jesus Christ, Philip. Unfortunately, Agnew's a lot more resistant than first assumed. The press winds up digging more into his corruption than anyone would have felt liked. He finally leaves after a month-long media circus. Reagan, meanwhile, rubs the last liberal Republicans the wrong way. Goddamn communists, all of them. Over the last 3 years, Chinese aid to North Vietnam has drastically increased. The flow of military equipment is continuing unabated. Now, Kissinger's deputy, Alexander Haig, presenting with intelligence that North Vietnam jets have plans to bomb U.S. troops that are being housed at PRC air bases. How are you going to respond militarily? Bomb the red Chinese air bases. Don't beat around the bush here. Go straight to the source. If you want to scare the shit out of a communist, don't fight their proxies. Start targeting them directly. Truman refused to let MacArthur win a Korea. Now it's time to finish the job. Twist the knife. The world watches in slack-jawed horror as you inch nearer to full-scale nuclear war than at any point since the Cuban Missile Crisis. China responds with fear by sending tens of thousands of troops to North Vietnam and targeting U.S. bases in the south. Well, the thing is, I have a meme where we're Chads and the communists are soy jacks. So, yeah, fuck off. Forget, kill more Chinese than Mao did. Okay, what are we gonna do? Alright, we need to start murdering people. Get rid of Jack Anderson. Get a hold of him and just... Damn it, I want to hang him. Want to control any of the league, start with him. These Navy bastards or ITT sons of bitches didn't have anything to do to leak to. They wouldn't steal anything. Firebomb the Brookings Institute? No, that's lame. We're gonna commit political murder. Ex-FBI agent Jordan Liddy puts LSD on Anderson's steering wheel, causing the journalist to enjoy an acid trip right as he crashes into a tree. Anderson is seriously injured, but not dead. To compensate, Liddy leaks stories about Anderson is a homosexual. Based. Fuck yes, I love when the CIA kills American citizens. Your back is against the walls, and you're running out of options. God damn it. I'm tired of all these chicken shit games. They've gone too far. If we don't get in front of it now, there goes the election. It's all liberal light. No, you're right. I was going to do the funny one. But North Vietnam has capitulated to our demands in Paris, no doubt due to Operation Duck Hook. No matter how much our liberals deny it. Peace deal could be reached before the end of the month, but as the NFL is making rapid progress, final offensive, it looks like America is cutting and running. This has prompted a hawkish counter-reaction, elevating Senator Scoop Jackson to Democratic presidential nomination at the Miami convention. How do you respond? Fucking Scoop. Bomb Scoop Jackson. This message right here is so full of shit, but I'm tempted to say it. Jackson tries to market himself a maverick within his own party, but he's a consummate insider. He's been in Washington longer than I have. What kind of fucking name is Scoop? Sounds like some commie bullshit. Jackson's campaign has been promising how he's not like other Democrats, so if you can deflate that idea and show the public how he's just like the rest of them, it'll set you up well for victory this November. Let's see, how are we going to address the public? My God, the thugs who disrupt our daily life by burning down institutions and shutting down entire cities with dynamite are doing more to feed the United States than North Vietnam. A warlike tone brings the crowd in the convention to its feet. But once the case of so-called Gainesville 8 goes to trial, a web of young federal informants is discovered, and it falls apart, embarrassing the Bureau and yourself. Your speech is widely ridiculed. Sounds like communism. There's been renewed scrutiny of U.S. bombing raids in North Vietnam recently, with reports that highly developed dikes system is being targeted just before the monsoon season. If it were to be destroyed, hundreds of thousands would die. Publicity of the bombings have been helped in part by Visit North Vietnam by actress Jane Fonda. Any response? Kill Jane Fonda. Just deny it. My chat is fucking crazy. I love it. A lot from columnists gave a shit for that in mining, but it's been doing wonders. There's no winning with these people, so don't try. No dike's been hit by bombs. Just say that. Say that the Vietnamese are... This is a propaganda operation. Ever-loyal UN Ambassador George Bush takes heavy flack from the press for claiming the bombings never happened, and ultimately shrinks away from being your mouthpiece on the issue. Regardless of lackluster response, the issue begins to fade away. Former White House aides Howard Hunt and Gordon Libby have been indicted for the role in the Watergate burglary in June. Additionally, Jack Anderson was recovered from his acid trip straight into a tree this summer. He's begun writing about how the car crash was an attempted hit ordered by high-level Washington officials. How do you respond? Kim Il-sung, technically the eternal leader of North Korea, declared Joseph McCarthy as the equivalent of America. Kill him again. Well, he's a homosexual. We've known this for years. Start leaking reports that he was in a perverted love triangle or something. See, all that led to the crash. It was his immorality. He fools around. That's where you're at in the his case. Nail him in the press on the homosexuality angle. To be clear, Jack Anderson is not homosexual. And despite And your desperate mudslinging has changed the minds of mainstream reporters who dismissed his claims at first. Even the Washington Post has been investigating the crash now, and reports of White House involvement pile up. Not only that, he's a bottom. Utterly disgraceful. Regardless of how the Watergate drama will play out, we have healthcare now. Universal healthcare. I will sign the Kennedy-Griffiths bill. Healthcare remains the greatest unfinished business in our society. Let us insist on real control over what doctors and hospitals can charge. Let us resolve that the state of a family's health shall never be dependent on the size of a family's wealth. If health insurance is good enough for the president, then it's good enough for everyone. For you and every family in America. It's going to live what it takes declaring war to make Oh, it's not... Oh, anyway. Kennedy's speechless, and you've taken the words right out of your mouth. The bill will likely advance through Congress at your urging, but the right wing of the Republican Party cannot stomach what they are hearing. On the balance, you've lost folks of idea. It's not McGovern. It's Henry Jackson. It's Scoop Jackson. This mod has like 8 different candidates that Nixon can run against. It's fucking cool. ERA. Whatever. I'll start speeding through this real quick. You need to rig the election. After the peace talks promised to bring an end to the war or the summer, things have fallen apart. Feeling confident, he submitted an entirely new set of U.S. demands which North Vietnam has not agreed upon and that they refused to sign. You were never going to be the first American president to lose a war. Now deliver the knockout blow. Postpone the election indefinitely. Bomb the bastards. Let me make one thing clear. Those who've had a chance for 4 years and cannot produce peace should not be given another chance. Richard Milhouse Nixon, October 9th, 1969. Sounds like a fucking liberal cuck, if you ask me. Where are we spending our last couple days in the campaign? Who's that guy? Richard Nixon? I don't know. Sounds like a dick. South. We've built a careful strategy over my entire term to win these voters over. We're on the verge of victory. After final rally in Alabama, Air Force One flies over the Appalachian Mountains to return to Washington. Remember how our PRC diplomat told you about the Jinggang Mountains, the cradle of revolution. Beneath you, a fog has obscured the landscape. My fellow Americans, I've just signed a bill outlawing liberals forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes. Okay, Jackson's doing a lot better than McGovern. Like, a lot better. We cannot play as Scoop. We can only play against people. Ultra-liberal jingoism. Based? Question mark. Here's our Nixon can still win, guys. Yeah, at least we won South Dakota this time. not something we could take credit for previously. This is fake news. I won, and by a lot. Every man must be raised from poverty so he can afford a TV so he can watch me glass Beijing. Declare martial law, restore order against the liberal rioters. CBS Evening News. Between Chief of Staff Harry Haldeman and Walter Cronkite, April 15, 1979. And that was former Chief of Staff Henry Haldeman with his new book, The Ends of Power, My Time with President Nixon. Thanks for coming in, Harry. The camera pans over at Haldeman, smiling, holding a book, which has a picture of him and Nixon on the cover. It's been my pleasure, Walter. President Nixon was a remarkable man. It pains me so much that our nation not only lost one of the, in my opinion, best presidents of recent memory, but I lost a friend. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Harry. If you just tuned in, President Jackson has gone live in Washington and is addressing the nation. What does Scoop Jackson sound like? I don't even know what to do. My fellow citizens, at this hour, American forces are in the stage of conducting military operations to cease Chinese infringement upon Taiwanese, American, and Vietnamese waters. As you all are aware, tensions have escalated as the Chinese government has dispatched nuclear submarines into the waters near Taiwan. These actions pose a grave threat to the stability and peace in the region. Our objective is clear. Protect the sovereignty of our Asian allies, uphold the principles of international law, and prevent any further escalation of hostilities. We undertake this operation with utmost care and consideration for the lives involved. Our priority is to avoid escalation while sending a strong and clear message to those who infringe upon America and her allies. Holy shit, he's starting the war. I want to be clear in my message to Chairwoman Jiang Qing. We've always sought peaceful and constructive dialogue with China, and we continue to do so. The United States remains steadfast in support of democracy and freedom around the world. And we will not waver in the face of threats. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. The broadcast ends just as General Singlaub walks into frame and aides quickly begin gathering papers. At least we'd start glassing China. You know, if you think about it, Scoop Jackson was the real hero all along. Anyway, that's going to be all the time I'm going to put to this mod. This video is already going to be huge already. But I hope you all enjoyed. This is a very, very fun mod. I'd recommend it 100%. And, yeah. If you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content, feature the sub button for uploads weekdays, as well as occasionally Saturdays. I do a lot of campaign trail on the weekends, but I mainly do Paradox games like Hearts of Iron. Leaving comments for feedback of series to play down in the comment section below. And check out my various links down in the description box below, including my Twitch, which I recorded this on live. That's really it for now, my friends. I thank you all for watching. My name has been Mr. Dogbot333. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye now.